Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, my dear girls of grade 6? Inshallah, now I'm going to explain the lesson of arts. It's the last lesson in Unit 1 about the Abbasid Caliphate. We are going to talk about art in the Caliphate, or how art was like during the 500 years of the Abbasid era. Let us start. The Abbasid era produced the great works of art and crafts. Items made in the Caliphate were traded with other countries, bringing great wealth to the caliphate. It means that art was so prosperous during that time, and there were a great number of works of art and crafts. The Abbasids sold them to other countries, and that helped them to gain and earn a lot of money. The Abbasid glassmakers and potters improved on techniques they learned from the other civilizations. It means that the other civilizations, like the Roman civilization and the Chinese civilization, these two civilizations and the other civilizations had great effects on the art during that time. Look at this. Look at this piece of art. It's so marvelous and so nice. It's an earthenware jar decorated with Arabic script, probably used for storing spices. Of course, if we have something like that, we consider it a piece of art. Now, we are going to talk about art in 5 things. The first of them, number 1, is pottery. Pottery or ceramic items were used for daily activities such as cooking, storing food, and lighting. Also washing, but decorative items were also popular. Popular means were used in a wide range. Tiles were used to decorate mosques, homes, and palaces. The Islamic potters and scientists developed new glazes and new ways of coloring and decorating their pottery. They were inspired by the Chinese ceramics, and we are going to see what are the new techniques that they developed. Look at this bowl. This is a ceramic bowl made in Iraq in the 9th century. I think it's so nice with so many colors. And here they were influenced here by the Chinese ceramic. Let us see what is the new technique that they improved. Pots and dishes were decorated using a technique called luster. So if I told you and asked you about the technique that was used to decorate dishes and pots during that time, you can say it's luster. What is it? Luster gives the ceramics a shiny metallic surface without using silver or gold. That technique was firstly used by potters during the Abbasid era. So that technique, or the technique of luster, was firstly used during the Abbasid era. This is about pot making or pottery. What about glass? Samarra and later Damascus and Aleppo, these are 3 cities in the Abbasid Caliphate, became famous for glasswork. Glassmakers developed techniques used by the Romans, so the Roman civilization influenced glassmaking during that time. So the glassmakers developed the techniques used by the Romans. But why the Romans? Because the Romans had glass industries in Egypt and Syria. And the Romans controlled Egypt and Syria before Islam reached these lands. They used blowing and cutting techniques, producing a range of items from small, delicate perfume bottles to larger containers and vases. So they produced glass works of all sizes, starting from the very small, delicate perfume bottles to the large containers and vases. They produced the glass objects in different colors and decorated them in different ways. So the art of glassmaking in the in the Abbasid era was influenced by the Romans, who had glass industry in Egypt and Syria before Islam reached these countries. Look at this. This is made of metal. Actually, can you see? It's a golden jar. It's a golden box. It was made during that time. Can you see how it is beautiful? Can you see the decorations and the patterns? Let us talk about number 3, or the third field in which we can see art during the Abbasid era, which is metal. How metal was used in art. Metal workers made objects such as boxes, barrels, jugs, and incense burners for everyday use. They worked in brass and bronze, so these were two metals that were used during that time, as well as precious metals such as gold and silver. So they also made art pieces of art from gold and silver. Objects were often decorated with inscriptions and patterns. A prosperous steel industry developed in Damascus. So the city of Damascus in Syria was a very important center for making metal and also glass, as we read before. Textiles or cloth. The textile industry developed during the Abbasid period. Like what? Fabrics, carpets, and silks were manufactured in the south of the area that is now called Iran. So Iran was famous for making fabrics, carpets, and silks. Cotton was manufactured in Maro and Nespro. So Iran was famous for fabrics, carpets, and silks, but cotton was made or was manufactured and made into textiles in Maro and Nespro. But linen was made in Egypt. Exactly, the cities of Tunis and Dabiq in Egypt were well known or famous for their textiles. Look at this plain piece of cloth. It's a fabric with some decorative. This decorative is Arabic inscription. This type of fabric was made during the late 10th century near modern-day Iraq. It's a plain woven cotton. So this fabric is made of cotton, and it had an Arabic inscription printed on it. It's Bismillah Rahman Rahim, but actually I cannot see the other words. So this is a piece of art from woven cotton with Arabic inscription on it. Now, let us talk about paper making. Paper making was so important during that time, but the skill of paper making came to the Islamic State during the Abbasid era. So the Muslims never knew paper making before the Abbasid era. They just started to know it during the Abbasid era. But how? According to a legend or a story, after the Islamic armies defeated the Chinese at the Battle of Talis in the year 751 AD, it means during the rule of Caliph Abu al-Abbas, the first Abbasid Caliph, the Chinese, the Chinese prisoners promised to teach their Muslim captors how to make paper. But for what? In exchange for their freedom. So in order to be set free, the Chinese prisoners taught the Muslims paper making. Paper making factories later became set up or were soon set up in Baghdad. I told you, as we learned before, that the first paper factories were set up during Abu al-Abbas or Caliph Abu al-Abbas, the first Abbasid Caliph. Because paper became available, more books could be copied and the greater numbers of people were able to read books. So paper making had a very good result, which is enabling more people to read books because books started to be available. The last thing in this lesson about arts is the Islamic inscriptions or the Arabic handwriting. It means the Islamic handwriting and the decorative writing. Inscriptions are the most important art from the most important art form in Islamic culture. Words from the Quran are used instead of pictures to decorate. Actually, we are the only civilization that use writing for decorations. So words from the Quran were used instead of pictures to decorate what? To decorate mosques, buildings, metalwork, pottery, stone, and other objects. The Islamic civilization, as I told you, is the only civilization that used inscriptions or decorative writing for decorations. Here are some examples of different styles of writing. Calligraphy. Calligraphy is the art of decorative writing used for inscriptions. Look at this. This is Kufi script or al-Khat al-Kufi. This is Salusa script or Khat al-Salusi. Can you see how it is decorative? It's used to decorate places. And this one is Naskh script. Of course, we can see a lot of things like this in our daily life. Even in our homes, we have decorated pictures with words from the Quran or some verses of the Quran is written in a very decorative way, and we keep it in our homes. Even our mosques, if you look everywhere in the mosques, you can see this writing on the walls of the mosques. Even the Kaaba, if you look at the Kaaba is decorated with this calligraphy, with this writing in gold in the middle and in the corners. This is the art of Islamic inscriptions. That was the end of our lesson and the end of unit one about the Abbasid Caliphate. Inshallah, next lesson we are going to start talking about the Crusaders and how they started to make the Muslim Caliphate so weak because they aimed to end the Muslim Caliphate. We are going to study what they were, how they started, and the real reasons for them. Thanks for being with me, and goodbye till we meet again in the next lesson.